Now available, paperback and Kindle Unlimited. ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with the beast from the boss in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event, paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Baseball is considered to be America's pastime. However, a lot of foundational black Americans are not playing America's sport. Now, back in the 1940s, Jackie Robinson was the first black man to break the color barrier as related to the baseball and become the first black person to play Major League Baseball. However, in the last couple of years, there haven't been many black men interested in playing baseball anymore. Now, back in the 80s and the 90s, baseball had 20% of its players that were black, but these days, black players only make up 8% of the entire league. Now, I believe the reason why many black players aren't interested in playing baseball is because it's just not profitable for them when you compare baseball's process to becoming a major league player to that of becoming an NFL player or an NBA player. So while it might be a great symbolic gesture to be working towards becoming a baseball player and following in the footsteps of a Jackie Robinson, it's just not economically profitable for a young player to go out here and work to become a Major League Baseball player when they can get to the major leagues like the NBA and the NFL faster than they would with the process for Major League Baseball. Now, the process for Major League Baseball is a very grueling process, and a player will be spending 5 years inside of the farm system. So if you were a promising high school baseball prospect, you would go from playing baseball in high school to playing in college, and then you would have to go to the farm system. And the farm system consists of several tiers, like I believe there's AAA and AA, and you would play for these farm teams, and the pay on these farm teams isn't that great. So a lot of players oftentimes that are black, they will opt to go play another sport where they can go out here and get faster profits, and they can also make better use of their time, because a player is in their prime when they are from the ages of about 18 to about 24. And a lot of players these days, they figure they don't want to waste their prime years waiting to see if they would become a rookie on a major league team. So you have to go through a long process of dealing with the farm systems of AAA or AA or single A, and hope, wish, and pray to get to that contract stage. And by that time, a player is in their mid 20s, and they've lost several years of their lives. So that's why many players are just saying, I don't want to bother with Major League Baseball. Many black players are saying they don't want to bother with Major League Baseball because they see guys like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James coming fresh out of high school and getting drafted onto an NBA team. And as they're drafted to that NBA team, they are making 7 figures on their base salary, and they are making 7 figures as related to endorsements. Now, that's the top as related to drafts in the NBA. A lower tiered player in the college system also tends to do very well if they're drafted. So a low tier NBA player who has gone through the college system and gone through the draft, they would get possibly 6 figures if they were a third string player, or if they're a second string player, they might get a low 7-figure deal for several years. And that's pretty good money just for being a bench guy in the back and possibly just still being on a roster. I mean, you're still on a roster of an NBA team. You're making lots of money, and that is why many black players opt to play basketball because they can showcase their skills either on a high school court or they can showcase their skills inside of the NCAA or the other college leagues. And inside of those college leagues and the NCAA, they can work towards getting a NBA draft number and being drafted to a team where they will be playing for a actual team and making actual big money early on. So that's why we see so many black players opting for the NBA, and we start to see a lot more players opting for the NFL because the NFL offers a similar track to making money. And those players in the NFL, they come right out of college after playing all of those Big Ten games and all of those other different leagues and even playing in the bowl games. And they can get drafted into an NFL team as related to being maybe a first round draft pick or even a low tier draft pick. And they're still making anywhere from low six figures to high six figures, and even the top draft picks can go out here and get 7-figure deals. So these NFL players, they make a lot more money than a major league player in proportion to the cost. And with these players being able to come into the game in the NBA as young as 17 years old, or in the case of an NFL player, they're coming in at about maybe 20 or 21. They are coming into the game very young. So a lot of these guys are eager to go into the NBA or the NFL because they can start making money at an early age. So they're looking at going out here and getting themselves paid early on. Whereas if you were in Major League Baseball, you would be in the farm system for at least 5 years. And in that 5 years, you're in the farm system. You're practically making no money. You're not getting exposed on national television because most networks don't even cover farm games. And most people don't even know who you are in the farm system. So it's not something that is economically beneficial to a black player. And some black players, again, they come from poor single parent homes and they want to make that money. And they see the basketball and football players making the big paper. And other guys, they're coming from suburban middle class homes and they also see that paper being made in the NBA and the NFL. And they look up at those stars getting bigger exposure because they were getting bigger endorsement deals from companies like Nike, companies like Sony, companies like Rolex, and many others. They see the big deals getting made, so they start looking at baseball and looking at 5 years in the farm system, coming into a rookie salary if you do get on a major league team that is extremely low, and they're not seeing much of a payday as they're losing the best years of their lives because when you're a player from about 18 again to 24, you're in the best health as related to fitness. You're in the best physical condition, so you cannot go out here and make the big stats like you want because you're spending so much time in the farm system. So a lot of guys are looking at it and going, it's just not worth the time to go into Major League Baseball. And they're saying, hey, I don't want to do this. I mean, yes, there is a great thing related to Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, but the whole thing is, for most black players, it doesn't break the profit barrier. Most black players these days are looking at the green, and they're looking at going out here and getting their paper early on. And because they're looking at getting their paper early on, that's why we are not seeing so many black players playing baseball anymore, because they feel like it's a strikeout when they go out to try to play Major League Baseball. There's no profit in the game for them. And while the owners make a lot of money on these games, the players make no real money as related to the whole process of dealing with the farm system. Now, the farm system is supposed to ensure that we get the best players in Major League Baseball, but a lot of those black players are saying they don't want to waste their time. And again, time is the most valuable intangible of all, because time is something you just can't get back. And until Major League Baseball really does something about its farm system, you're not going to see a lot of black players coming into the game, because they don't really see the money coming to them as related to profiting them, because they want to go out here and be able to go out here and get those 6 and 7 figure deals. And they also want to be able to get those endorsements from major companies and manufacturers, and they have more incentive to go play in the NFL or the NBA, where the money is a lot better and the season isn't as hard. I mean, an NBA season is a little less easier, is a little less harder than Major League Baseball, which goes on for several months. And the NFL is only about 16 weeks, so it's a lot easier on the players overall. And that's another reason why a lot of people black players don't want to play Major League Baseball anymore, because it's 162 games. A lot of it is played in the summer. A lot of it is played and it goes into extra innings, whereas a NFL game, it's again 16 weeks and possibly some playoffs, and you're practically done for the rest of the year. With the NBA, it's a couple of months and then you're done with the playoffs, and again, not as hard on the body. And that's another reason why black players would rather choose to play football and basketball over your Major League Baseball. Now, some want to see more black players come back to the game of baseball, but I believe that the only way you're going to get black players to come back to baseball is you're going to have to do something about this farm system, because the farm system keeps a lot of players from coming up to the major leagues. And if those players are stuck in a farm system for 5 years, that's gonna be the thing that keeps people from wanting to come and want to be Major League Baseball players. I mean, they want to see a guy like a LeBron or a Kobe come up very quickly, and they want to be able to come up fast like they do in the NCAA as related to football. I mean, you got 3 years in your NCAA, and then you're playing in the NFL. You've got 3 years in the NCAA as you're playing for basketball, and you've got 5 years in Major League Baseball. So which one is a player going to take? That's a critical question many people need to ask as related to black baseball players, because if you've got players that are stuck playing for 5 years in your system, you're not going to be able to recruit talent, because they're looking at other sports and they're looking at that bottom line, and that bottom line is that they want to make this green. And if you want to get black players playing baseball, you've got to get them to the green sooner than you're doing right now. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Bride of Dracula, Goddess Next Door, and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire in this action-packed ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today.